Okay, so hello everybody. Hi family. So we are here in my living room, and there's two main reasons why for that I'm not outside. And the first one is, well, number one, it's nighttime. And number two, I live in New England, so it is freaking cold out there. And apparently it's snowing just a little bit here in Boston. So yeah, I'm just not going outside. So what I wanted to come on today and say is, first of all, thank you so much for everybody for the words of love and support and encouragement yesterday. Some of you may know, some of you may not. I kind of sort of took yesterday off from life. And when I say that, I mean that literally. I was in bed all day yesterday. And the reason for that is I have an autoimmune disease, and I had a flare-up yesterday to the point where I literally could not move. This particular disease attacks my joints, and when it has a flare-up, everything hurts. It's literally stabbing pain throughout every single joint in my body, and I cannot move. So I did something that I hate doing 100%, and I had to cancel some appointments. And everybody was very thoughtful, very loving, very generous with their words. And first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for that. I really appreciate the support. The second thing I wanted to say has to do with one of the major things that is taught in recovery. And that it doesn't matter what you're necessarily recovering from, whether it be substance use or the trauma from somebody else's substance use, codependency, trauma from a particular event, or what they call complex PTSD, which is the reactions to a series of micro traumas that you have experienced in your life. Anything that you're recovering from, any emotional, unhealthy coping mechanism that you have utilized in your life to deal with a particular situation that you are then recovering from, typically has within it an important first step. Now, in 12-step programs, it is the first step. In evidence-based programs, it is one of the first steps. And no matter what you call it, and I'm going to use all the different terms, it is the same thing. And it is one of the most important things that you can bring to the table for yourself in your recovery. And it's something that I 100% experienced yesterday. As you can see today, I am moving around. I am much, much better. I'm back to about 80% of where I was. And tomorrow I'll probably be back to 100%. Rest, relaxation, and basically just taking a day off of life brings down the stress in my body, brings down the cortisol, which is what triggers the flare-up, so that I can actually go out the next day. Usually they're not more than 24, 48-hour flare-ups, and I can live. But here's the thing. One of the things that I had to practice yesterday morning when I got up and realized that my body was doing this was unconditional acceptance. One of the things that I had to learn years ago when I was diagnosed with this disease is unconditional acceptance. And you can say those particular words. You can say, as it's taught in another set of words, just plain acceptance or surrender. Any of those words mean the same thing. Life on life's terms. All of it means the same thing. And what that means is that you understand emotionally and cognitively the truth of the situation that is in front of you and that is being presented to you. So when I was diagnosed with this disease, I had to come to terms with this. This was life on life's terms beyond anything. I already knew that I was dealing with my substance use, and I've been dealing with it for the vast majority of my life at that point in time. And now I had to deal with something else. So the idea in my head that I didn't want this, I didn't want this burden, I didn't want to understand what this was, I didn't want to change my lifestyle, I didn't want to work out, I didn't want to deal with the physical therapy exercises, I didn't want to change my diet. All of those things hit me. But I had to come to terms with the situation and unconditionally accept this would be a part of my life for the rest of my life. Now, it doesn't mean that I had to tolerate it, or I do have to tolerate it unconditionally. Because one of the things that I also practiced yesterday was that I did what I had to do so that I would not have to tolerate the effects of this disease every single day in that major way. I did what I had to do, and I changed the course of my life for one day so that every other day after could be a positive day, could be a day with movement, could be a day with health. And that's the important thing to understand. Unconditional acceptance does not mean unconditional tolerance. Just because you look at the situation in front of you and you say, I accept it. I know what is going on, I understand it, I believe it, and I am ready to do the emotional work so that I can walk through the situation, come out the other side. So you're putting it in your brain cognitively and emotionally. That is unconditional acceptance. Now, when we talk about surrender, we're not talking about giving up your power in that way. That is absolutely not it. When I surrender to the fact that I have this disease, it doesn't mean that I have no power to control it, because I absolutely do have power. But I don't have the power to take it out of my body. It is part of my genes. I just happen to have the type that it expressed later on in life, and it's a slow type, so it didn't kill me when I was in my 20s. Unfortunately, it's going to just last my whole life. But that is part of me, and I accept it. But what I have control over is how I manage my day, the fact that I do work out, the fact that I do eat a certain type of diet so that the flare-ups are less common. And that is where your power comes in. That is where your control comes in. That is where your ability to change your current situation day by day by day, minute by minute by minute, to make the overall situation better. I can't control the fact that this is part of my genes, but I can control the fact that I live a certain lifestyle to make myself healthier every day. So let's turn this around on its head and let's talk about recovery. As a person dealing with substance use disorder, as a person that has been clean for several years dealing with this substance use disorder, I understand, again, and I accept that I have it. I understand and I accept it's going to be a part of my life. I understand and I accept that there are certain things that I cannot do. And I look back at my history and I remember the times when I tried to control certain things in my life. I tried to moderate certain things in my life. I tried to pick and choose how my recovery was going to go. And that did not work for me. I have evidence that it did not work for me. So I have taken that history and that evidence, and I have decided upon myself that I'm going to live an abstinent lifestyle. And that's fine for me. Some people may have different experiences. That might not be fine for them. Whatever is good for your recovery is good for you. Mine just happens to be, my experience has shown me that I have to live an abstinent lifestyle to maintain the lifestyle that I want with respect to my career, my friends, my family, and my parenting. So that is my story, and that's my acceptance of what is going on in my life. That is my surrender to the fact that this is a part of me. But it does not mean that I'm surrendering my power, because I have the power to decide my lifestyle. I have the power to make myself healthy every single day. Dealing with a loved one's addiction, it goes very, very much the same way. I cannot control the loved one in my life. I cannot control his recovery. We were just in fact talking about his recovery tonight. We were talking about where he is in his recovery. We were talking about how he is managing his recovery. He had a very open conversation with me, and I appreciate that. Now, I can't control it though. I can't say you should be further along. I can't say you should be at a certain point. I can only say, okay, I am listening to what you are doing in your recovery, and I accept that. I accept that is where you are, and that is where you are. Whether it's okay to me or not, that is a decision that I am going to make, and there is where my power comes in. If he puts himself in a place in his recovery where it is not acceptable to me and the lifestyle that I want to live, that is where my boundaries will change. That is where my detachment with love will change. That is where my communication to him will change to say, where you are, what you are doing, how you are living is not conducive to what I want in my life. I will take a step back. I might take a step out. I might go out completely as far as this relationship is concerned. But that is my power. Those are my choices. And I surrender to the fact that I cannot change him. But that does not mean I have no power. That does not mean I have no control. Because I have control over my life. I have control over my choices. So I want everybody to understand when we talk about unconditional acceptance, when we talk about surrender, when we talk about life on life's terms, that doesn't mean you lay down and just say, okay, fine, this is what is happening, and I'm going to let it sit on me like an elephant. That is not what is taught. That is not what we do. That is not the idea. We do not lay down and surrender. We accept what is going on. We surrender the things that we cannot control, and we work on the things that we can. We look at what we can control. We make a plan. We set actions to go with that plan, and then we execute. And when all of that is done, that is how you build your best life. That is how you build your recovery. That is how you build your recovering life. That is how I live with the disease that I have inside my body, and I can still go out and play with my daughter. I can still go out and do some sports, although not a lot of them. And I can still go out and live a healthy lifestyle every single day and be who I am and who I want to be. So I just kind of wanted to put this out there with regards to the idea of acceptance, unconditional acceptance, surrender, whatever words you want to use, whatever phrase you want to put to it, they're all the same thing, but they mean one very, very important thing. You have the power inside you. You have the power to build your world, build your life how you want it to be. Never, ever, ever forget that. So, thank you. Namaste.